mental health chats. And I'm really excited because I've got the lovely Paul McCartney with us. And we are going to be talking about team building for leaders. And yeah, you're probably wondering the name Paul McCartney. So hello, Paul. How are you?
Hello, Claire. I'm very well indeed. Thank you.
Yay. So who is Paul McCartney? We all know one Paul McCartney, but who's this Paul McCartney?
Yeah, he's the left-handed bass player. I'm
Yeah.
a coach, and I coach business owners in how to create brilliant businesses that are going to fly far and fast.
Wonderful. And I know you haven't been a coach forever, and I love the fact that you're wearing your earphones because it actually goes with your history. So tell us all about your experience and how you got to where you are.
So my experience is quite wide. I've worked in media for 35 years,
Yep.
25 of which were in radio. And so I absolutely loved my time in radio, dealing with thousands of businesses, helping them to market themselves and to grow through the medium of radio.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. I love that. I really do love that. And I just want to make it clear because you're from the UK, you do have a connection to the Paul McCartney, don't
I
you?
do
So
indeed.
you need
Yes.
to tell us.
I've met him, and he is a second cousin once removed, or something like that. So yeah, he's definitely there, and but he's a really nice guy.
Excellent, excellent. And I love the fact also you were born. Come on, tell everyone the day that you were born on.
So I was born on the 31st of December 1963,
Yeah.
and the number one track in the charts at the time was "I Want to Hold Your Hand," which is perfect for me as a coach because I hold people's hands through the process of building their business.
Excellent. Excellent. And I love it. I love the work you do. So we're talking about you have worked so much over the years with leaders and with teams and worked in as a leader and in a team. So why we're talking about team building for leaders. And I want to really ask you a pertinent question here. Why is it so important for leaders to make sure they retain their teams?
Well, I think you'll probably be aware that the process that a team goes through as it's growing um, is really it's four different stages. So it's forming, where the team gets together; norming, where they get used to one another; performing, and then storming. And it's the storming part where they really start to perform, and that performance level becomes so high that the team just begins to just work on its own. And the problem happens when a team member leaves is that it's like a cog in a machine actually falling out. And as a result, when you bring somebody else in, you've got to start from scratch again. In
Yeah.
addition to that, though, you've got an issue where all of the systems and processes that everyone is used to working to, it's got to be retrained. Relationships have to be rebuilt. And so actually getting the right team in place to start with is vital. And it's got to be people that understand the mission of the business and are all pulling in the same direction.
Yeah, and I love the way you've explained that. And so often I think what can happen is that when we're in the stress of the work environment and our teams working together, and then we've got all this conflict can happen in teams, problems can happen in teams, and what can often happen is that people end up leaving because they're not happy because they haven't resolved problems. And I just love the way you describe those four sections that if we keep losing people, we're going back to that forming and it's not, we're never getting to the storming. So if you wouldn't mind just going into detail a little bit more, because you know, I'm all about staff retention and making sure we retain our teams. And what would be good for everybody to hear, Paul, from your experiences, what are the huge problems that can occur if our teams do have high staff turnover?
I think there is a lack of motivation starts to creep in. If you
Yeah.
get people leaving your team on a regular basis, the rest of the team feel demotivated. And that's for a number of reasons. Firstly, they see their colleagues leaving, very often their friends that they've made in part of that team building
Yeah.
process. You also see that those team members are taking on more work. They're having to take on the load that the team member who is leaving is no longer taken care of. And of course, it
Yeah.
takes a while for replacements to be found, especially at the moment where the labor market, the skilled labor market is so small. And
Yeah.
so it's imperative that teams are kept together, because otherwise you get a situation where the rest of the team start to burn out, they feel under pressure, and
Mm.
it starts to demotivate them.
Mm. Yeah, it does. And what I've seen, and I was actually a part of this, unfortunately, in an organization, the first company where I was a manager, is the domino effect then happened. You know, you see other people are leaving and are happier. So people start to look, and this domino effect can become quite huge. And we started off, I remember, with a few people leaving. And then it got to, we actually ended up with 76% turnover of staff.
Oh wow,
Huge.
that's high.
Absolutely huge. So I remember asking in the next organization is, what do you do to retain your staff? What is your what's the percentage of your staff turnover? And they virtually had none. And I felt the difference within the first week that I was there, and it was all about the culture.
Yeah, yeah. Culture is so important. Having a clear
Mm.
mission, all of the team are striving to achieve. Every team member knowing the role they play in achieving that mission is crucial. We all want to be part of a story. You know, we're all on this
Yeah.
earth for a short amount of time, and we want to be part of a story. We want to do something that's valuable and is going to mean something.
Yeah, definitely. And I know the work you do is very involved in helping organizations with their story and their mission and communicating it. And then the work I do is helping organizations with their culture and their
Yeah,
communication,
yeah.
etc. So they go hand in hand, which is absolutely so pertinent for teams to actually build their teams, but also retain their teams.
Yeah, and it's amazing, Claire, because storytelling in marketing has been around for a long, long time.
Mm,
But actually getting the story right within an organization
yeah,
and building an organization that's marketing driven so that everybody believes they're there to serve the customer in the right way
yeah.
really motivates people and keeps them moving forward. And that momentum really starts to build.
Definitely. And I love the fact that you've used the word motivate so often. And I remember when I was first delivering workshops and coaching, and we talked about motivation, but we just looked at the insights. And I love the fact that now, with the work you and I do, we're actually looking at the how we motivate, what we can do on a day to day. And that's what the long-term transformational coaching is all about, that both you and I do.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see younger people now coming into the workplace. Different things are going to motivate them. Many of
Oh,
the
yeah.
people when I started work, as you know, you started after me, but many of the
Mm.
people that were beginning to come into the workplace when I started were really keen on getting a high salary and building their
Mhm.
salary. Whereas in today's world, it's slightly different. You know, people want a meaning to what they're doing. They want to
Yeah,
be adding something to the world.
they do. And that goes with, I've written a couple of blogs on this actually, because it goes with the different generations and understanding the different generations. And we need to look at, as leaders and managers, we need to look at the Gen Zs and the millennials. What motivates them? It's very different to what motivated you and I.
Very much so. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
right at the tail end of the baby boom. I've already given
yeah.
away the day that I was born. So that's right at the very end of the baby boom.
I'm a lot younger than you. I'm at the
I know you
beginning
are.
of
I
the
know. And
Gen
it shows as well. Um, the thing that really sticks in my mind is that I was working for Saga for their radio stations and serving the London agencies. Now, many of the planner buyers in the agencies were 25, 26 years old. Even then, trying to get them to understand how a 50-year-old thought was
Yeah,
incredibly difficult. So communicating between the two is
yeah.
imperative.
Definitely. And, you know, having some empathy, you know, it's a case I was just chatting to a lady and she's actually a tech nomad. She loves doing her work around the world and working in different countries. So it's what can we do? And I'm not saying every organization has to do this because it's not applicable for every organization, but what can we do? Because, you know, the Gen Zs, the millennials, they've missed out on a lot of travel with regards to their, you know, because of COVID. So
Yes,
what
they
can
have.
we do to be a little bit more flexible? And they're looking to, you know, they want to see have more experiences than what I did. You know, I was happy settling down and buying a house, all those sensible things. So things have changed.
It's amazing, isn't it? I think different things motivate different people. And having built teams in radio stations where you've got salespeople and you've got presenters and you've got news teams and you've got admin
Yeah,
staff, they're all fundamentally different. But
yeah.
you need to find out what motivates people individually and then how they add to the team as well.
Definitely, definitely. Oh, wow, you've given so many insights. And I love the fact, Paul, that you've really gone into the detail that we want to keep our teams, we want to retain them, we want to get to the storming stage, because otherwise we're going back to the forming and how detrimental that can be for our relationships and our knowledge and what's going on in the organization.
It's almost the fifth stage, which is stalling, and that's what you want to avoid. You don't
Yeah,
want to stall
definitely.
because when your machine stalls, you have to restart it, and when you restart it, it takes a
Yeah,
little while to warm up.
it does. You just made me think of my first car then.
I was thinking of my first car as well.
Thank you so much, Paul. I'm sure there's many people out there who would love to get in contact and meet you. So where can people find you? Where's the easiest way?
Easiest way is to go to my website, ebusinesscoaching.co.uk, ask me a question or just book a call. And I'm more than happy to talk. I don't always work with people that I do discovery sessions with, but I certainly give them a lot of information and they'll leave with knowledge that they didn't have, hopefully, when they joined the call.
Excellent. So thank you very much for your time, Paul. And I have loved talking to you. And I'm sure all the listeners out there have got some really, really valuable information. So thank you.
Claire,
Take care.
thank you for inviting me and keep up the good work.
Thank you.